Hare Krishna. Welcome to the lockdown program with Krishna under the umbrella of Govardhan Hill. Today we are reading and discussing the most beautiful Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam.
Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Gopi Chana Vallabha Jaya Giridvara Gopi Chanavallabha Jai Giridvara Hari Jai Giridvara Hari Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Bhaja Chananjana Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Jaya Kunja Bihari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Gopi Chana Vallabha Jaya Giridvara Hari Jaya Giridvara Hari Gopi Chana Vallabha Jaya Giridvara Hari Jaya Giridvara Hari Jaya Gopi Chana Vallabha Jaya Giridvara Hari Jaya Giridvara Hari Gopi Chana Vallabha Jaya Giridvara
Hare Krishna, welcome everyone. We got Nalini Mataji, we got Dharm, we got Samir from Africa, and Ben from Leicester, and Amit. Thank you very much for attending tonight. We're still missing Rashmi and whoever else. Welcome everyone to the lockdown, or should we say to the meeting of the rishis and sages in Naimisharanya forest. Hare Krishna. Yes?
Prabhuji, did you say Samir is from Africa? Which part of Africa?
He is staying in Africa at the moment in Tanzania.
Tanzania. Oh, so can say Jumbo to him? Jumbo? Samir?
We do
Swahili.
that. We do some small talk afterwards, sir.
Okay, sorry.
Hare Krishna. I want to, before we go into the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, a few little bits and pieces. We recently spoke about Transcendental Sound, and the question was raised, that Transcendental Sound, well, that is, if we're reading Bhagavad Gita, that is indirect association with Krishna or indirect association with Srila Prabhupada. And we put that clear, no, that is direct association. So direct perception through Transcendental Sound. There is a very nice prayer by our Bhaktivinoda Thakur, one of the very important acharyas, a spiritual master of Gokishore Das Babaji, spiritual master of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta, spiritual master of Srila Prabhupada. And of course, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, the spiritual master of our Srila Prabhupada, he was the son of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who was a high court judge. And he did his work in half of the time as everybody else, and he wrote so many books and so many songs. So this little verse is from Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and it is about the transcendental sound. And I'm sure some of you know that little prayer or shloka, whatever we call it. He reasons ill who says that Vaishnavas die when thou art living still in sound. So Vaishnavas die to live, and living try to spread the holy name around. So that's all. So someone is ill-advised who thinks or says that Vaishnavas die, devotees never die. They are living in sound. In the transcendental sound vibration is eternal. The body may disappear, but the body is not very important. The transcendental sound vibration. So these Vaishnavas, the great acharyas, the Srila Prabhupada, and all devotees are living still in sound. The sound is eternal. And then it says the Vaishnavas die to live. They die to live eternally with Krishna. And living while present in this physical body, they spread the holy name around. And that's their only business. So I read it again. He reasons ill who says that Vaishnavas die when thou art living still in sound. So Vaishnavas die to live, and living try to spread the holy name around. So very important verse by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So transcendental sound vibration, that is actually the real presence. It's absolute reality. Form is not real presence. It is illusory and temporary. Physical form and physical presence are not that important. We have forgotten who we actually are. That is spiritual amnesia. So that is another. Then a little story I want to, before we recall. The other day I was listening to a video, and a saffron-dressed sannyasi or brahmachari, he spoke about yoga and Bhagavad Gita. So I found that quite interesting what he said. He said, pick and choose your yoga in the Gita. There's various yogas explained. Pick and choose. Everyone has a different constitution or propensity. Pick the yoga that suits you most. So that is not what we have heard from Srila Prabhupada. Pick and choose. This is an impersonalist philosophy with a goal to avoid surrendering to Krishna. That's all what it is. And I looked who was speaking. It was a sannyasi or brahmachari from the Ramakrishna mission. And then it became clear Ramakrishna missions, these are all impersonalists. So Vivekananda, same thing, impersonalist. Even though everyone born in India, he will know Vivekananda and maybe even having some very fond feelings for Vivekananda, but they're impersonalists. And the Ramakrishna mission, Srila Prabhupada has many quotes on that. I will not go into that today. They're even eating meat. And they concocted a philosophy, Daridra Narayan. The poor man in the street, he's Narayan. And Srila Prabhupada extensively speaks about that. So that was quite interesting. Some people like that, pick and choose the yoga, karma yoga, jnana yoga, dhyana yoga, whichever, pick and choose. No, that is not the Vaishnava version, the version of the parampara, And the disciplic succession is, these yogas are like the rung on a ladder. And everybody acknowledges Bhakti Yoga is the highest, but people think they're just satisfied with standing on the second, third, and fourth step of the ladder. Now, if we put a ladder on the house because the roof is leaking, we want to get to the roof. So if we stay on the third, fourth, fifth step of the ladder, we will not go to the roof. We will not arrive at the roof. We have to climb up to the topmost. Then we can enter the roof. So that I found quite interesting again. So let's go to our Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Today we're looking at Shloka, first canto, 5th chapter, text 35. I will post it in the chat right now. So here it is, 35 for everybody to see. And can I ask you, Ben, welcome Rashmi, you are late. You missed the Kirtan and you missed some quotes, but you can always listen to the recording. I guess you have just finished your rounds. Chanting Hare Krishna is ever so important. So, Ben, you want to start us off tonight and read us a text, the Shloka 35 from the 5th chapter. That would be nice. Okay, the microphone is yours.
Thank you. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, reading from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 5, Text 35. Yadatra kriyate karma bhagavat paritosanam jnanam yattad adhinam hi bhakti yoga samanvitam. Translation. Whatever work is done here in this life for the satisfaction of the mission of the Lord is called Bhakti Yoga, or transcendental loving service to the Lord. And what is called knowledge becomes a concomitant factor. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The general and popular notion is that by discharging fruitive work in terms of the direction of the scriptures, one becomes perfectly able to acquire transcendental knowledge for spiritual realization. Bhakti Yoga is considered by some to be another form of karma. But factually, Bhakti Yoga is above both karma and Gyan. Bhakti Yoga is independent of Gyan or karma. On the other hand, Gyan and karma are dependent on Bhakti Yoga. This Kriya Yoga or Karma Yoga is recommended by Sri Narada to Vyas. Is specifically recommended because the principle is to satisfy the Lord. The Lord does not want His sons, the living beings, to suffer the threefold miseries of life. He desires that all of them come to Him and live with Him. But going back to Godhead means that one must purify himself from material infections. When work is performed, therefore, to satisfy the Lord, the performer becomes gradually purified from the material affection. This purification means attainment of spiritual knowledge. Therefore, knowledge is dependent on karma or work done on behalf of the Lord. Other knowledge, being devoid of bhakti yoga or satisfaction of the Lord, cannot lead one back to the kingdom of God, which means that it cannot even offer salvation, as already explained in connection with the stanza, Nais karmyam api akruta bhava vrajitam. The conclusion is that a devotee engaged in the unalloyed service of the Lord, specifically in hearing and chanting of his transcendental glories, becomes simultaneously spiritually enlightened by the divine grace, as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita.
Thank you very much, Ben. What a beautiful purport and verse. Can you say a few words about it?
Well, it's like whatever we do as living entities, in activities and in accumulation of knowledge. If we do it for the satisfaction or the mission of the Lord, then it's classed as bhakti yoga or loving transcendental service to the Lord. Srila Prabhupada, he makes a number of points in the purport, distinguishing between the different types of yoga, namely karma, jnana, and bhakti. And karma done for the benefit of the Lord and jnana done for the benefit of the Lord is considered to be bhakti yoga. He makes the point, on the other hand, that karma and jnana done for their own purpose, they're quite meaningless, really, and quite not very useful. They're not a way of becoming liberated from entanglement and suffering in this material world, but in fact, they just lead to further entanglement and suffering. But when the same activities are performed on behalf of the Lord, then they become the means of liberation and purification of the conditioned soul. Therefore, rendering that conditioned soul a fit candidate for going back home, back to Godhead.
Jai Hare Krishna. That was beautifully expressed. I couldn't have said it better. I have nothing to add, except I have to ask a question. In the last line, very last of his purport, Srila Prabhupada says, as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. Which verse does come to mind? Let's read that. The conclusion is that a devotee engaged in the unalloyed service of the Lord, specifically in hearing and chanting of his transcendental glories, becomes simultaneously spiritually enlightened by the divine grace, as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. Anyone can point at any particular verse? Where is that confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita? Or which verse would confirm that? Anyone? Rashmi, Samir? Nalini? I have come up with one verse, Bhagavad Gita 10:9. The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are fully devoted to my service, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about me. I'm not 100% sure if there is not another verse or a better verse even, but that is all I can contribute. Anyone has any questions to that shloka? I mean, it's very simple. Ben explained it all. Very, very nice. And the position of karma and gyan, and if karma and gyan are offered in the service of the Lord, that's a completely different. Rashmi, you have a hand-raising feature on your Skype?
Maybe I do. I will use it next time. I
Yes,
just
okay.
wanted to highlight, I don't know, because I've got the book version, I was not sure whether you're also reading from a book, na, Prabhuji?
We were reading from the database.
So in the book version, Srila Prabhupada has, from the bit which starts, Bhakti Yoga is independent of Gyan or Karma. On the other hand, Gyan and Karma are dependent on Bhakti Yoga. That bit Srila Prabhupada has put it in, that slanting, it's called italics. What is it called in?
Italics?
Yeah, he's put it in italics, maybe.
I don't think Srila Prabhupada puts it in italics, but the editors, whoever, they have put it in italics.
Whatever, yeah. So just to, I think it's just putting it in italics was trying to put focus on that bit. So I just wanted to point that out.
Yes, thank you very much. Ben has already very nicely explained that bhakti is independent of karma and gyan, but karma and gyan depend on bhakti for full success. In fact, everything depends. Every yoga depends on bhakti for success. You went there when we just explained, Rashmi. It's a bhakti. The yoga is just like we're speaking of the yoga ladder. It's like a ladder, like you want to go to your roof. Or think in India of the flat roofs of the houses, or your house, the roof is leaking. You need to go to the roof and check it out. And you put a ladder, and there are different steps on that ladder, maybe even up to 10, 15 steps until you reach the roof. All the different yogas are on the lower steps of the ladder, like Hatha and Ashtanga and so on. So unless you reach the top step, which is bhakti, and everybody admits that bhakti is a top step, but unless you reach the top step, we reach the top step, we won't get to the roof. If we stand on the third, fourth, fifth, sixth step of the ladder, that will not get us to the roof. We have to climb it up. But then Lord Chaitanya has been, because people might think, okay, I have to practice all the yogas until I come to the top of the roof, until I come to bhakti. But that's not the fact. Here Srila Prabhupada confirms bhakti is not dependent on karma and jnana. So Lord Chaitanya, in his wonderful mercy for the fallen souls in this Kali Yuga, next to the ladder, he has built an elevator. So we don't need to step by step go up the ladder. We go in the elevator and push a button, and in no time we're up on the roof. That is Bhakti Yoga, independent of karma and jnana. And by Lord Chaitanya's mercy, just by practicing Bhakti Yoga, not even karma, jnana, nothing of the other yogas, then we reach in no time, in this very lifetime, we reach the top. Hare Krishna. And we just explained before you came, Rashmi, the impersonalists. I have listened to a lecture of one from the sannyasi from the Ramakrishna mission. They're all impersonalists. That Srila Prabhupada confirms that. And he was saying, well, you can pick and choose any yoga in the Gita. Everybody has different propensities and different mentalities, so you pick what suits you best. But they fail to understand it's a progressive path until you reach the topmost step on that ladder. It's not pick and choose. There is a purpose in all the yogas to come to the highest. So this mentality, pick and choose each yoga and stay with each yoga and then you will reach Krishna. No. They're just trying to avoid surrendering to Krishna. That's all. That's an impersonalist view. Anyways, that we have discussed. So, any more questions on this shloka, or shall we move on to 36? Let's move on to 36. That is not less beautiful, and I would like to ask Samir, can you, I hope you're not too tired tonight, can you give us a reading and a short summary and explanation in your own words of shloka 36? The microphone is yours, Samir.
Hare Krishna, everybody. Tanwat pranams to everyone. Okay, text 36. Kurvana yatra karmani bhagavak yasakrit karnanti gunanamani Krishna sayan surmaranti cha. Translation and the purport by His Divine Grace Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai. While performing duties according to the order of Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one constantly remembers Him, His name, and His qualities. Purport. An expert devotee of the Lord can mold his life in such a way that while performing all kinds of duties, either for this or the next life, he can constantly remember the Lord's name, fame, qualities, etc. The order of the Lord is distinctly there in the Bhagavad Gita. One should work only for the Lord in all spheres of life. In every sphere of life, the Lord should be situated as the proprietor. According to the Vedic rites, even in the worship of some demigods like Indra, Brahma, Saraswati, and Ganesh, the system is that in all circumstances, the representation of Vishnu must be there as Yajeshvara, or the controlling power of such sacrifices. It is recommended that a particular demigod be worshipped for a particular purpose, but still the presence of Vishnu is compulsory in order to make the function proper. Apart from such Vedic duties, even in our ordinary dealings, for example, in our household affairs or in our business or profession, we must consider that the result of all activities must be given over to the Supreme Enjoyer, Lord Krishna. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord has declared Himself to be the Supreme Enjoyer of everything, Supreme Proprietor of every planet, and the Supreme Friend of all beings. No one else but Lord Shri Krishna can claim to be the proprietor of everything within His creation. A pure devotee remembers this constantly, and in doing so, he repeats the transcendental name, fame, and qualities of the Lord, which means that he is constantly in touch with the Lord. The Lord is identical with His name, fame, etc., and therefore to be associated with His name, fame, etc. constantly means actually to associate with the Lord. The major portion of our monetary income, not less than 50%, must be spent to carry out the order of Lord Krishna. Not only should we give the profit of our earning to this cause, but we must also arrange to preach this cult of devotion to others, because that is also one of the orders of the Lord. The Lord definitely says that no one is more dear to Him than one who is always engaged in preaching work of the Lord's name and fame all over the world. The scientific discoveries of material world can also be equally engaged in carrying out his order. He wants the message of the Bhagavad Gita to be preached amongst his devotees. It may not be so done amongst those who have no credit of austerities, charity, education, etc. Therefore, the attempt must go on to convert unwilling men to become his devotees. Lord Chaitanya has taught a very simple method in this connection. He has taught the lesson for preaching the transcendental message through singing, dancing, and refreshment. As such, 50% of our income may be spent for this purpose. In this fallen age of quarrel and desensitization, if only the leading and wealthy persons of society agree to spend 50% of their income in the service of the Lord, as it is taught by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, there is absolutely certainty of converting this hell of pandemonium to transcendental abode of the Lord. No one will disagree to partake in a function where good singing, dancing, and refreshment are administered. Everyone will attend such a function, and everyone is sure to feel individually the transcendental presence of the Lord. This alone will help the attendants associate with the Lord and thereby purify themselves in spiritual realization. The only condition for successfully executing such spiritual activities is that they must be conducted under the guidance of a pure devotee, who is completely free from all mundane desires, fruitive activities, and dry speculations about the nature of the Lord. No one has to discover the nature of the Lord. It is already spoken by the Lord himself in Bhagavad Gita, and especially and in all other Vedic literatures generally. We have simply to accept them into and abide by
Toto.
the Lord.
That is Latin. In toto.
In toto, sorry, yeah, toto. Yeah, we have to simply accept them in toto and abide by orders of the Lord. That will guide us to the path of perfection. One can remain in his own position. No one has to change his position, especially in this age of variegated difficulties. The only condition is that one must give up the habit of dry speculation aimed at becoming one with the Lord. And after giving up such lofty puffed up vanities, one may very submissively receive the orders of the Lord in the Bhagavad Gita or in the Bhagavatam from the lips of a bona fide devotee whose qualification is mentioned above. That will make everything successful without a doubt.
Hare Krishna, quite a lengthy purpose. Thank you very much, Samir. Can you say a few words or highlight the most memorable point, what you find important points?
Okay. I think basically what is being said here is that if we just look at the translation, it says, while performing duties according to the order of Sri Krishna, one constantly remembers him, his names and his qualities. So, of course, everybody has duties to perform, but if we are remembering the Lord while we're doing our duties, remember his name, his qualities, his pastimes, while we're doing these duties. Also, any work that we are performing should have Krishna in the center. So we should have Krishna in the center of all activities that we are performing. So we don't perform any duties or anything, any sacrifices, anything without worshipping Krishna. It was even talking about the sacrifices to the demigods, and particular demigods for particular functions that we may have, but Krishna should still be in the center of that, Vishnu. And then also it's talking about spreading and preaching, which is very important and very dear to the Lord. So we should preach Krishna consciousness to as many people as we can, whilst taking guidance from a pure devotee. So having a guru, but the guru must be a pure bona fide guru. Also, it's talking about the percentage of earnings. No, not less than 50% of earnings should be used in Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada always said, and that printing of books, if you do have money, you should print books, because this way learn about Krishna consciousness. So books is very good, giving in charity, and yes, and then also saying that they would like to partake in, who would not like to partake in singing, dancing, and having refreshment, which is great, because everybody likes to do that. So singing and dancing and having refreshment, so having prasadam. I think that's about everything, really.
Thank you, Samir. That was a beautiful summary. You touched on all the points. Huh? Question: in a practical way, how can we? Srila Prabhupada mentions it specifically in our private lives, in our business life. How can we have Krishna in the center? How can we remember Krishna while performing our duties? And Srila Prabhupada specifically mentioning one does not need to give up one's duty, whatever one's position is, but remembering Krishna while executing those duties as a doctor, as a businessman, as a teacher, as a worker, whichever. So how can we practically achieve this? That's the question.
I think what helps is that, of course, for this age, as we keep saying, and probably said it so many times, but I think for this age, chanting is the main thing. But what happens is that when we are chanting, and if we are chanting regularly every day, then that starts to awaken our Krishna consciousness within, because of course we're all Krishna conscious already, but we are probably a little bit dormant and sleeping. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu probably used to say, "Jiva jago, Jiva jago."
A little bit dormant, a lot dormant. I like that. Hare Krishna, that would be an understatement.
Yeah, a lot dormant, yeah. And so that, you know, of course, chanting really helps with that. And then, you know, once you're doing that and you're reading and we're associating with devotees and all of these things are happening and we're serving and we're not just serving at the temple, but, you know, we should offer in our own homes and whatever, you know, serving the Lord, giving him, offering some nice bhoga to him and everything. Then what starts to happen is that love starts growing and we become, you know, more and more cleansed. And then we start to actually move more and more towards Krishna and less towards the material side. And once we start moving away from the material side and moving towards Krishna, then everything we're doing, you know, even if we're going to work, we can chant, we're remembering the Lord. And our motivation is totally different then. So we're doing things for Krishna rather than for our own sense gratification, for our own pleasure. We're doing it for the pleasure of the Lord. So if we're going to work, like this purport is saying and Prabhupada is saying, is that, you know, if we're going to work, we're not going to work for, you know, oh, I want to buy this, you know, nice car, or I want to buy this nice clothes, or, you know, you start kind of, your motivation is different. You start thinking, oh, what can I do for the Lord? What can I buy for the Lord? Or what can I serve the Lord? How can I help the Lord? What can I do for the Lord today? And then, you know, as it says, you know, 50% should be used minimum. And, you know, our motivation changes totally, and our life changes as well, because if we're thinking of Krishna all the time, then nothing really affects us as well. You know, the material life doesn't really affect us, because things are going to happen to us, but we don't relate it to the body anymore. We just take it as prasad, that the Krishna has done that. You know, there must be a reason for it, but it doesn't actually affect us. So we're not relating it to the body anymore.
Yay. Hare Krishna. That was very nicely expressed, Samir. It was very nicely expressed. That our activity is not changing, but our motivation is changing. Instead being a doctor for accumulating money for sense gratification, we are a doctor for Krishna. Or we are a computer man for Krishna. So if it will grow, we are set identity, I'm a servant of Krishna. That becomes so strong that whatever we still do our duties, we do whatever we do, but the motivation, it's different. We are conscious that we are servant of the Lord. Sanskrit, I mean, you spoke of the material side and Krishna's side. So what's the difference between the material side and Krishna's side? It's very simple. The material side is life with forgetting Krishna, without Krishna. Krishna is not in the picture. It's just our ego, I, me, and mine, and our senses. That's all. That's material life. And Krishna's side is everything for the satisfaction of Krishna. Krishna is always remembered. Krishna is always there. Sometimes when we concentrating on something in the back of the mind, we had this question before, when we executing some difficult duty which takes a lot of concentration on the computer or whichever, or then it is not possible to chant Hare Krishna. But in the background, we are always aware, I'm the servant of Krishna. I'm not the servant of my boss. I may play this role, yes, I will have to do what my boss is telling me, what my superior is telling me, but I'm actually the servant of Krishna. And then we become free from being the servant of our senses. And the senses are dictating to us, look at this, taste this, hear this, touch this, for our own selfish, egoistic pleasure. That's without Krishna. And with Krishna, everything is related to Krishna. It's just like a switch. It can actually be done in a split second, that switch. But practice is there because we may flick the switch now, but in 5 minutes we have forgotten again due to a lot of association with this material energy and a lot of a habit of just thinking in terms of our own ego forgetfulness without Krishna. So it needs practice. And the more we practice, then Krishna will just be there in the background in everything and all what we do. I mean, not background, less important, but while we're doing, it's just a fundamental attitude. Samir.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. You know, it's just such a coincidence. I just got a message, and it relates to this very, very nicely. It says, we work not with our body, actually, but with our mind and intelligence. So if the intelligence and the mind are always engaged in the thought of the Supreme Lord, then naturally the senses are also engaged in his service. Superficially, at least, the activities of the senses remain the same, but the consciousness is changed. The Bhagavad Gita teaches one how to absorb the mind and intelligence in the thought of the Lord. Such absorption will enable one to transfer himself to the kingdom of the Lord. If the mind is engaged in Krishna's service, the senses are automatically engaged in his service. This is the art, and this is also the secret of Bhagavad Gita. Total absorption in the thought of Sri Krishna. I thought that was so good.
Hare Krishna, very beautifully expressed. Yes, that's what we want. Total absorption. It is not that difficult to coming to that spiritual platform, because after all, that is who we really are. We really are eternal servants of the Lord. We just have forgotten. It's not that difficult to come to that position, but to stay on that position all the time, that needs practice. Because we may be spiritually inspired, we may be on the spiritual platform, and then a bit later, we again on the material platform, and we're forgetting Krishna, and we're thinking about what pleases our senses. So the practice comes in that we more and more and all the time can remember the Lord, and we can remember what is our position. We are eternal servants of the Lord. Well, I have some other question, not just you, Samir, for others as well. Here Srila Prabhupada says, the order of the Lord is distinctly there in the Bhagavad Gita. Anything comes to mind? He can constantly remember the Lord's name, fame, qualities, and so on. The order of the Lord is distinctly there in the Bhagavad Gita. Let's see someone else. I know your hand is up. Maybe you forgot or you want to say something. But what about Rashmi or Amit or Ben or Nalini? Any idea what that could relate to? Ben, any idea? Rashmi? You're studying Bhagavad Gita? The order of the Lord is distinctly there in the Bhagavad Gita. One should work only for the Lord in all spheres of life. What would be? Ben, yes?
No, I was just thinking, I think it's 1865, Sarvadhamam Parityajya.
That is 66, yes.
Oh, 66. That's the order of the Lord.
What's the translation? What's the meaning? Will do.
Oh, it's like that's the verse where he says that just surrender unto me.
Yes.
Abandon all varieties of religion. Just surrender unto me, abandon all varieties of religion. I will protect you from all sinful reaction. Do not fear.
Yes, yes. Of course, religion in that sense means all kind of speculations and everything. Yes, I came up with another verse, 3:9. Work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed. Otherwise, work causes bondage in this material world. Therefore, O son of Kunti, perform your prescribed duties for his satisfaction, and in that way you will always remain free from bondage. That's the same principle what we're discussing. If we do for Krishna, not for if we do for our own sense gratification, that work will bind us to repeatedly cycle of birth and death, to karma. We are motivated and we work for the satisfaction of our senses. We have to reap the karma, the good and the bad and the ugly. So if we dedicate all our activities as a sacrifice to Vishnu, to Krishna, we become immediately free from the cycle of entanglement in karma, and therefore also from the cycle of repeated birth and death. So that's what I came up with. And Srila Prabhupada speaks later. We must consider that the result of all activities must be given over to the Supreme Enjoyer, Lord Krishna. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord has declared himself to be the Supreme Enjoyer of everything, the Supreme Proprietor of every planet, and the Supreme Friend of all beings. So I came up with that famous, well-known verse, Bhaktaram Yakyatapasam Sarva Loka Maheshwaram Suridam Sarva Bhutanam Kyatva Mam Shantim Richati, the peace formula. A person in full consciousness of me, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities, the Supreme Lord of all planets and demigods, and the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities, attains peace from the pangs of material miseries. So maybe there are some other verses which also. So what else could be said to this verse? There is one more reference a bit later. No one is more dear, and that we should know. That is such a famous verse. Srila Prabhupada writes, the Lord definitely says, and it says it in the Bhagavad Gita, even though it's not mentioned here, that no one is more dear to him than one who is always engaged in the preaching work. What verse is that? Ben, I'm sure you know that. Rashmi, what about you? Let's have some hands who, even vaguely in its meaning, what is that verse? Nothing, Rashmi? Nalini? Ben, yes. What's that verse? Your microphone is off, Ben. Your hand is up, but your microphone is off. You want to say something? Okay, no. 1868.
I've got it.
Okay.
No,
What is it?
It's like it says like Ya idam paramam goyam mad bhakteshva abid hasyanti bhakti mai param kritva ma mevashyati asamsaya. For one who explains this supreme secret to the devotees, pure devotional service is guaranteed, and at the end he will come back to me. And
what's the next verse?
It's na nacha tasma manusyasyu kasinmi priya kritama pavita nacha mi tasmat anya priya taro bhuvi. No one, there is no servant in this world more dear to me than he, nor will there ever be one more dear.
What a statement is that? That's absolutely amazing. Krishna there said is the most dear. We all want to become dear to Krishna, don't we? We want to become close to Krishna. We want to get Krishna's blessings. To get Krishna's blessings, we have to be dear from his side. I mean, what a statement is that? There is no servant in this world more dear than he. Nor will there ever be one more dear who's preaching this message of Krishna's glories to the devotees. Samir, your hand was up.
Yeah, I just said number 69, 1869. But yeah, it's no problem.
Yes, 1868, 1869. These two verses are a very, very strong statement to be. But the question could be raised for one who explains the supreme secret to the devotees. What about the other people? And Srila Prabhupada mentioned actually someone who has no pious credit and so on. This should not be, this message of Bhagavad Gita should not be explained to them. And we know from the 10 offenses, it is an offense to speak about the glories of the holy name to someone who has no faith. So what can be said? Ben?
Well, what can be said is that this is an order from the Lord, but in a sense, it's like the pure devotee. He's more, he's not discriminating between anyone. He wants everyone to have the mercy of the Lord, regardless of any kind of preconditions or anything like that. So he's just distributing this knowledge to anyone and everyone. This is the mercy of the pure devotee. So he's giving this knowledge to everyone and anyone who is willing to receive it. So he doesn't make that discrimination. He's giving it to everyone.
That is true, but there is, Srila Prabhupada explains in his purport, there is another way. He writes, therefore, the attempt must go on to convert unwilling men to become his devotees. So basically, Srila Prabhupada is saying, yes, this message should be preached to his devotees. So make unwilling non-devotees into devotees, and then you preach the message. Isn't that beautiful? We have to make everybody a devotee, and then this verse applies, and we preach to the devotees. So Srila Prabhupada was asked by his students if one can only come to Krishna after many pious activities, and Bhagavad Gita is also, there is a verse after many pious activities, one comes to Krishna. So, but we are Westerners, we have not performed any pious activities. So how we came to Krishna and without pious activities? What do you think Srila Prabhupada's answer was? It goes with that, what we just have been reading, that little snippet in the purport. Anyone? What could the answer be? On one hand, we have Krishna saying in Bhagavad Gita, only after many pious activities one can take to devotional service. Ben?
I think Prabhupada, he said that I've created your pious activities.
Exactly. Hare Krishna. How?
By his mercy.
Yeah, more specific, Samir. How has Srila Prabhupada created our pious activities?
By his association.
Yes. Anything more?
Through his books.
By engaging us in chanting Hare Krishna. That's specific. By engaging us in chanting Hare Krishna.
Can I ask you a question, Gauranga?
Yes.
Just to pick up on a point earlier. But you said that people in the West, they don't have any pious activities.
Yes.
How can you say that so categorical?
Not categorical. In general, there are, of course, pious people in the West as well, but not so many. Generally, people in the West are not very... In this age, people used to be much more pious 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. But I mean, nowadays, loads of people, majority of people, it appears like are atheists and sense-gratifiers. So where is their pious activity? Yes, not categorically say no, that generally it is, there are pious Christians. Sure, there are. The pious Muslims, the pious Hindus here in the West, yes, that's not denying that. Samir, your hand was up?
No, I'm fine. No, thank you.
Okay. Anything more? We will not get into the 50% of what Srila Prabhupada speaks. Where is that coming from? 50% for Krishna's service. Anyone knows? Where is that actually coming from?
It's coming from the Gita again, isn't it?
No, it's not Gita.
Chaitanya Charitamrita.
From?
Lord Chaitanya said that.
Yes, can you be more specific? It is. You can find that in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Where?
It is in the. So far, Prabhuji, I have only read introduction and up to the first chapter, preface and all that. And in that, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has said about this 50%.
Where is that coming from exactly? Anyone?
I know.
Is it coming from Rupa Sanatan?
Rupa, yes. Ben, is that what you wanted to say?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say, because there's a famous story about Rupa Goswami when he escaped from the Moab government,
Yes.
And he had a fortune. He had amassed a fortune in the service of the government. And he distributed his wealth in such a way that he gave 50% to the preaching of Krishna consciousness. He
gave 50% to the Brahmanas when he left the service. What about the other 50%?
He gave 25% to his family.
Yes.
And he kept 25% in reserve for emergencies.
Exactly. Yes. So that is that formula Srila Prabhupada speaks of. And that is what you, Rashmi, also thinking of. There where it comes from. We won't get into that now. That will be a lengthy discussion. And the next question is 50% before tax or after tax, and this and this and that, profits or whatever. Yes. But the point is, we have to help to spread Krishna consciousness in whatever way. If we can financially, we should do financially. If we can in any other ways, the spreading of Krishna consciousness is so important. Srila Prabhupada actually says both. The financial support as well as the preaching must be there. Okay, there is one other last point. Srila Prabhupada mentions the only condition is that one must give up the habit of dry speculation aimed at becoming one with the Lord. So that is the impersonal conception of merging, of becoming one with the Lord, which is quite widespread in India and here in the West. People putting forward this kind of philosophy. So that was just one point. Anything else to that verse, or shall we move on to 37? Okay, then I would like to ask Nalini Mataji. Would you be happy to read us text 37? I just want to give you the chance of doing a bit of reading because we haven't seen you that often. You don't have to, but if you want to, you can do a little bit of reading. How is that? How you feel about that? Okay, if not, then what about Amit? You're always eager to read. 37. We cannot hear you. Amit, are you there? Your microphone is unmuted, but we cannot hear a word. Oh, there was a message. Can you hear me? No, we cannot hear you. I cannot hear you. So there seems to be a problem with your microphone. Okay. 1 minute. Okay, we give you a minute. Half a minute.
Prabhuji, I don't mind reading, but when the time of explanation comes, I think I'll struggle.
So I said, oh, yes. No, you don't have to give an explanation. If you struggle with that, you just do the reading and someone else gives an explanation. It is not a problem. We are very flexible. Huh?
Okay, Prabhuji.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, Amit, hold on.
Okay, you can hear me now, though. Okay.
We can hear you now. Go, hold on. Let's Nalini just do the reading.
No problem.
And Amit,
Okay,
you
Nalini.
can give the summary. You are very good in summary. So Nalini, you do the reading. Amit, you give the summary.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. So it's
37.
Yeah, 37. Yeah. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. Canto 1, Chapter 5, verse 37. Om Namo Bhagavate Tubiyam Vasudevaya Dhimahi Pradyumnaya Rinudaya Namo Sanskar Sanayacha. Translation. Let us all chant the glories of Vasudeva along with his plenary expansions of Pradyumna, Aniruddha, and Sankarsana. Purport by His Divine Shri Prabhupada. According to Karatra, Narayan is the primeval cause of all expansions of Godhead. These are Vasudeva, Sankarsana, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. Vasudeva and Sankarsana are the middle, left, and right. Pradyumna is on the right of Sankarsana and Aniruddha is on the left of Vasudeva, and thus the four deities are situated. They are known as the four aides de camp of Lord Shri Krishna. This is a Vedic hymn or mantra beginning with Omkara Pranava, and thus the mantra is established by the transcendental chanting process, namely Om Namo Dhimahi, etc. The purport is that any transaction, either in the field of fruitive work or in empiric philosophy, which is not ultimately aimed at transcendental realization of the Supreme Lord, is considered to be useless. Naradji has therefore explained the nature of unalloyed devotional service by his personal experience in the development of intimacy between the Lord and the living entity by a gradual process of progressive devotional activities. Such a progressive march of transcendental devotion for the Lord culminates in the attainment of loving service of the Lord, which is called prema, in different transcendental variegatedness called rasas or tests. Such devotional service is also executed in mixed forms, namely mixed with fruitive work or empiric philosophical speculations. Now the question which was raised by the great rishis headed by Sonaka regarding the confidential part of suttas achievements through the spiritual master is explained herein by the chanting of this hymn consisting of 33 letters. And this mantra is addressed to the four deities or the Lord with his plenary expansions. The central figure is Lord Sri Krishna because the plenary portions are his aides de camp. The most confidential part of the instruction is that one should always chant and remember the glories of the Lord Shri Krishna, the supreme personality of Godhead, along with his different plenary portions expanded as Vasudev, Sankarsana, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. These expansions are the original deities for all other truths, namely either Vishnu Tattva or Shakti Tattvas. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lanini Mataji. I do really appreciate you are frank. You saying I can read, but I cannot say something about it. We are all very frank here.
Yes.
Nobody is pushed into anything. That is all whatever suits us, and there is no fixed way of doing things.
I appreciate that, Prabhuji.
Okay, no problem at all. Thank you very much for reading that. Amit, can you summarize?
Okay, Prabhu, I'll summarize.
Amit, you are here twice.
Yeah.
You doubled up already. Some city.
Yeah.
Oh, that is beautiful.
Okay, let me just try one thing. Yeah.
No, we can hear you. Keep on that.
Yeah, you can hear me. Can hear me. Okay. I'm trying to. Okay. I will translate, but I'll explain why I'm there twice. I'm logged. I'm coming to my phone and I'm talking to the phone. Now I'm trying to come to my laptop, so you can see me on my laptop. But when I was speaking to my laptop, you couldn't hear me.
Yes. No, that is very good quality. What we're hearing right now.
Yeah. So I need to test that because I want to log on to via my laptop. But we'll sort that out some other time. Okay.
Okay.
But at the minute you got the grace of me twice.
Okay. Yes, you're a mystic yogi. Huh? You've expanded twice.
Yeah.
So, how would you summarize?
Krishna is in many forms, yeah. So I've come in many forms today as well.
Hare Krishna.
Okay. This is okay. It's what is the summarize? It's that the devotional of Krishna can also it has four expansions as well, which is his plenary expansion, Pradayuma and Ruti and Sakansana. Now, essentially what it's saying, I think it's that any devotional service or has to be pure devotional service to be to have proper action. And there is this mantra beginning with Omkara Pranava, and that is a pure devotional service. It's good. This is quite a hard one, I'll be honest with you.
Well, yes, in a sense, yes. Why don't you pick the easy points?
That's what was. I think, I think he's saying that Krishna has four expansions. So you have to have the four expansions, which is Vasudeva, Sanskarasana, Pradayama, and Anuruti. And then it described the hierarchy of the four expansions, the middle, left, and the right. But I think the essential part of it was the mantra beginning with Omkara Pranava, which I think it's saying that this is how a pure devotional service should start, with the mantra. But otherwise, I did find this one quite difficult to understand, to be honest with you.
Yes, it is. It is. Anyone has to say something about this text? What about Rashmi? Say something. This shloka. What you getting out of that?
Prabhuji, I don't know much. I only know about Shankarshan. So when we remember, so for example, when we remember Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we remember Nityananda as well. So similarly, so when you're remembering Nityananda, you are remembering all the other expansions which are coming from him, like Mahavishnu, like Sheshnag, like everything. So that's what I have understood. But
Who is Sheshnag?
Sheshnag is you could call him Nityananda or Balaram.
And
Part of the expansion.
Which is also Shankarshan.
Which is also Shankarshan, yeah. So Balaram and Nityananda are identical, and then Nityananda is from Nityananda comes Shankarshan. From Shankarshan comes Mahavishnu, Shankarshan, and then Sheshna. All the three Vishnus, Garbhodakshayi and all that, and then Sheshnag last.
Yeah, this is quite technical. Huh? Let's focus on here. Srila Prabhupada says it culminates in the attainment of loving service of the Lord, which is called prema, Krishna prema, in different transcendental rasas. So we spoke about it, and I would like to establish that again. Which are the different steps of development from Shraddha to Prema? Shraddha, you mentioned that last time. Shraddha, faith, in the story with your father. Shraddha is faith, and that faith is developing and so on. So what are the in-between stages between Shraddha and Prema is the topmost stage of Krishna consciousness, pure devotional service. And Shraddha is, even at the beginning stage, a little tiny spark of faith. So what are the in-between stages? Anyone?
After Shraddha, it is Sadhu Sang.
What is that?
Then Sadhu Sang, association.
With devotees?
Sadhus.
Yes, with sadhus. What is next after Sadhu Sang?
Bhajan, all the 9 bhajan kriyas, all the 9 angas of bhakti.
Yes, engagement in devotional service, right?
Yeah.
What's next?
After that, is it Ruchi?
No, not yet.
Not Ruchi, Anartha Nivritti.
Yes, what's that?
Anartha Nivritti is you are identifying, you are reflecting and identifying all your bad qualities, and with Krishna's help, all these bad qualities are getting purified, getting rid of them.
Yeah, it's a clearing stage, right? Just is like the stage where we're making ghee out of butter. What comes after Anartha Nivritti? What's next? Anyone? Progressively up towards Krishna Prema. What comes, Ben? Any answers? Or Samir, what comes after Anartha Nivritti?
Nishta.
Nishta is what?
Steadiness.
What does that mean, steadiness? In practical terms.
Steadiness means that you're not faltering. You have total
faith, right?
Yeah, totally fixed. Yeah, you're not moving.
Yes, yeah. Even in the greatest difficulties, even so many horrible things may happen to us or in this world. That steadiness, of course, that means steadiness in our devotional service. We're chanting our rounds, whatever happens. Even the mind may be totally disturbed, we are steady. On that stage, nothing can divert us from our spiritual duties. The example could be given is just like the lines on a stone. That cannot easily be erased. Lines on a stone, they are there for all eternity, basically. So what's next after Nishta?
After Nista is Ruchi.
What's that?
Ruchi is taste.
Yes. Taste of?
Taste of the love of God.
Yes, love of God is not achieved yet at this stage. It's taste of, that's an easy answer. It's a taste of our relationship with Krishna. We're getting some taste. We're really enjoying Krishna consciousness in all its different aspects. We're enjoying engaging in Krishna's service. It's just so relishable. What's after Ruchi?
Asakti.
What's asakti?
Sakti is attachment.
Naturally, if we get some taste, it's like with food. You're tasting a really super delicious gulab jamun or rasgulla or any preparation you have never eaten before. But it appeals to you. It's just so sweet and so tasteful. Or any savory which you really fancy. You become attached. You want to have it again. So that attachment, after said ruchi, after said taste, we become really attached. Then we are really well on the way. What is after asakti?
Bhava.
What's that?
Bhava is love.
Yes, it's not Krishna prema yet.
No, that's the next one.
Yes, that's the next one. So bhava is transcendental emotions. Be overwhelmed by transcendental emotions. There are many, many transcendental emotions. At the moment, we only know material emotions in relationship with other people, from love to hate to enviousness to all kinds of emotions, friendliness, friendship, and so on. So on that bhava, then we actually exchanging transcendental emotions with Krishna. That is not an ordinary thing. Directly with the Lord. And the Lord is directly reciprocating. And we reciprocating with Krishna's transcendent. I mean, we can have a material example of our mother, our father, our children, and friends, and so on. There are transcendental emotions. Not transcendental, they're emotions. This is just an example. And these emotions are reciprocated. But in this material world, that reciprocation is always accompanied with some problems. These emotions we have in the material world, they're not perfect. We may exchange this emotion in the next moment, we're falling out again and quarreling and each other. But with Krishna on that platform of bhava, there is an ever-increasing emotional exchange. We cannot even imagine to have an emotional exchange directly with Krishna. That is a very advanced stage. And after that bhava, what's next, Samir?
Prema.
What is that?
That's pure love for the Lord. Pure love for Krishna.
Pure love for the Lord. Reaching that stage is guaranteed we're going back home to Godhead. There's no question about it. Totally in love with the Lord. A love affair, a total love affair, a never-ending love affair. Never been disappointed. Always exchange in the various rasas and tastes. Okay, that I thought that is quite important, and we come back to that in due course of time. These steps need to be understood. So, Krishna Prem is not cheap. Krishna Prem is the most advanced stage in Krishna consciousness. If we take that away, that is enough. Okay, one more question to this. Such devotional service is also executed in mixed form, namely mixed with fruitive work or empirical philosophical speculation. What are the Sanskrit terms for that? We have spoken many times. That would be good to know. Our devotional service is not pure. It's mixed with some, we also want some fruitive. We want some sense gratification. We're serving Krishna, but we also, that is mixed with some fruitive work. Fruitive work means, of course, work to please our senses. We want to enjoy the fruit. And mixed also with empirical philosophical speculation. What are these Sanskrit terms? I think by now we should all know that. Anyone? Rashmi? Ben?
Karma and Gyan.
Karma?
And Gyan.
Yes, but what is that mixed called? What's that bhakti called, which is mixed with karma?
Karma Mishra Bhakti.
That's right. And that mixed with Gyan?
Mixed with Gyan and mixed with Karma.
What is that called, mixed with Gyan?
Jnana Mishra Bhakti.
Yes, absolutely. So this is quite important to remember. Karma Mishra Bhakti and Jnana Mishra Bhakti. That's our mixture until we come to Shuddha Bhakti or pure Bhakti. No mixture, no trace of karma, of fruitive desires, and of Jnana, mental speculation. Okay. Anything else to this verse? Do we have time for one more? Yes, we can take one more verse.
I wanted to question you a bit more about
Yes.
about these four expansions.
Yes.
The Prabhupada says in the purport, these expansions, they're coming from Narayan.
Yes.
And then the question arises is, therefore, they're described as the four aides de camp of Krishna.
Yes.
So what's their function and what do they do? And
Yes, sometimes they are known as a quadruple expansion. Actually, I don't know much about that. I would have to research a little bit. These names are very well known, Shankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, and so on. And Shankarshan is Balaram. But what exactly technically their function is and how they're expanding from Narayana, I look into that and I come up with some short answer next time. That's quite technical, but it seems to be also important. Otherwise, Srila Prabhupada wouldn't make a point. And we coming across that will come again and again. It's a quadruple expansion. Okay, let's do one more text. What about Rashmi? Can you take on 38? Microphone is yours. 38.
38, text 38. Iti murtibhi dhanena mantramurtim amurtikam yajate yagna purusham sasamyag darshana pumam. Translation. Thus, he is the actual seer who worships in the form of transcendental sound vibration the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu, who has no material form. Purport. Our present senses are all made of material elements and therefore they are imperfect in realizing the transcendental form of Lord Vishnu. He is therefore worshipped by sound representation via the transcendental method of chanting. Anything which is beyond the scope of experience by our imperfect senses can be realized fully by the sound representation. A person transmitting sound from a far distant place can be factually experienced. If this is materially possible, why not spiritually? This experience is not a vague, impersonal experience. It is actually an experience of the transcendental personality of Godhead. who possesses the pure form of eternity, bliss, and knowledge. In the Amarakosh Sanskrit dictionary, the word murti carries import in twofold meanings, namely form and difficulty. Therefore, amurtikam is explained by Acharya Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur as meaning without difficulty. The transcendental form of eternal bliss and knowledge can be experienced by original spiritual senses, which can be revived by chanting of the holy mantras or transcendental sound representations. Such sound should be received from the transparent agency of the bona fide spiritual master, and the chanting may be practiced by the direction of the spiritual master. That will gradually lead us nearer to the Lord. This method of worship is recommended in the Pancharatrika system, which is both recognized and authorized. The Pancharatrika system has the most authorized codes for transcendental devotional service. Without the help of such codes, one cannot approach the Lord, certainly not by dry philosophical speculation. The Pancharatrika system is both practical and suitable for this age of quarrel. The Pancharatra is more important than the Vedanta for this modern age.
Thank you, Rashmi. Can you say a few words?
So, in the translation is saying, Srila Vyasadeva is saying that person is actually seeing the Lord. The one who is worshipping and who is seeing the Lord is the one who is actually chanting his name, because the Lord and his name are not different to each other. And Srila Prabhupada has explained it that because our senses are not perfect, we are material senses, so they are not perfect. So they cannot understand how this Lord and his name can be the same. So he's giving the example that we may not be able to see the Lord, some person, let's say somebody sitting in the room next door, and he's saying something, so we can hear him. So by that we know that he is there. So so if materially also we can experience that person by his hearing his sound, then why we cannot experience Krishna by chanting his name? So that will happen gradually as the purification process continues and carries on. As more we chant, the more we will purify, our anarthas will go away, and slowly we will be able to experience that Satchit Anand, eternal, blissful and knowledgeable form of the Lord. Even though we have got imperfect senses, even then we will be able to experience it.
Well, thank you. Wasn't that nicely explained? Huh? Very nice. Thank you. Beautifully explained. Oh my God, we are making such strident steps forward and progressing in our Krishna consciousness and in our understanding of the transcendental truth. Well said, yes. Again, at the beginning you went, yet Sayar Rashmi, we stressed the sound vibration, our connection with the sound. Sound, first of all, sound is a most subtle element amongst all the material elements. And even the Bible is actually, the Christian Bible is actually explaining at the very beginning of Genesis, at the beginning, there was a word, the sound. So that is so important, that sound vibration. With this sound, we're connecting with Krishna. And it is not mundane sound, it's a spiritual sound. We may not realize that, but by its effect, we can realize it's a spiritual sound. So sound is much more superior to form and sight. We might think, I don't see that person. No, we're seeing with our ears. We mentioned that before. That sound gives us access, gives us direct association with the Lord through the sound. Yes, what else can be said? Anyone? We experience by our original spiritual senses. What are the spiritual senses Srila Prabhupada is talking about? We know our senses, these are material senses. Yeah? Our eyes, our ears, our tongue, our sense of smell, sense of touch. What are spiritual senses? Anyone? Ben?
Our spiritual senses, our senses, when they are free from any kind of material contamination.
Absolutely. This is our spiritual senses. And then our spiritual form becomes revealed. We have a spiritual form. One example may be given. Our trousers. Why our trousers, a pair of trousers has 2 legs? Why our glove, in the winter it's cold to protect our hand. Why has our pair of gloves has 5 fingers? Because we have 5 fingers. And the trousers has 2 legs because we have 2 legs. So, likewise, our spiritual body, our spiritual form has form. Ben, you want to say something more?
I wanted to ask you a question. Is it possible to experience your spiritual senses now?
Yes, to some degree. To some degree, when we absorbed her, let's say in a beautiful Kirtan, and we are absorbed in Krishna consciousness, we perceiving through, then our senses are for some time, at least for the time being, when we are absorbed in some spiritual pursuits, there is no material contaminations there for the time being, so that we can experience our spiritual senses for the time being. But unfortunately, we don't stay on that platform very easily. By practice, we come to, as Samir explained, we come to the position of nishta, steadiness. And then our spiritual sense is developing more and more. Not developing, they're just, we're excavating. We're excavating our spiritual senses. And our material senses, material means just self-centered, lusting for some experience with the material objects of sound, of touch, of smell, of taste, and so on, for our own satisfaction. And that is turned into love, into devotional service by engaging these senses, including Krishna. Including Krishna in the picture. And then Krishna takes prevalence, more and more Krishna, and more and more. And then our lusty desires for enjoying, trying to enjoy, we cannot even enjoy, trying to enjoy these material senses are just diminishing. The fever is diminishing. Actually, we think of achieving comfort and happiness and enjoyment, but actually, we mentioned that before, we're just avoiding the pain. Ben?
I wanted to ask if we have a spiritual mind as well.
Yes, of course. In the same way as you explained. Once senses are purified, then our spiritual senses are present. And once the mind is purified, then our spiritual mind is present. And in this way, we excavating our spiritual body. And all the senses, all the intelligence as well is purified. And the mind is purified. And the ego, there is no false ego, there is real ego. Nitya Krishna Das, eternal servants of the Lord. Then that's our spiritual body. Ben?
So if you have the body, physical body of a human being, So if your spiritual body, it fits into this this body like a glove. You gave this example. Does that mean all human beings will have a human-like spiritual form in the spiritual world? Because I know that not everyone has got a human-like form in the spiritual world, because in the 5 different relationships in the spiritual world, some souls, they worship God in a neutral way, so they don't have like a human-like form. They just have a neutral form, like maybe a tree, or some may be animals and birds and bees and things like that. So do you understand the point I'm trying to make?
Yes. It depends on you, how you want to relate with Krishna. Depends on us how we want to relate with Krishna. We want to serve Krishna as an animal, as a deer. This is not like we consider here in our material atmosphere a deer, a lower animal, and we are so much more advanced. No, the deer in Goloka, they're very fortunate. They're getting really close to Krishna, sometimes closer than the inhabitants of Vrindavan. The deers can observe Krishna while he's in the forest. The gopis are staying at home. They have to wait until Krishna comes back from the forest. And there is beautiful descriptions when Krishna plays his flute, the deer becoming stunned, and all moving objects becoming immovable, and all immovable objects becoming movable, and the rivers flowing in the opposite direction and uphill, and so on, so many things. So it is not an ordinary way of relating to Krishna in the form of a deer. It's not. Or in the form of a tree. When Krishna passes through the forest, the trees bending their branches to touch the lotus feet of the Lord. Well, that is not an ordinary thing. So it depends on our desires how we want to relate with Krishna. And then we have a specific form, a specific service we can execute in relation to Krishna. And it's just, we mentioned recently, in the Vedic society, it didn't matter if we are a Shudra, a worker, if we are a Vaishya, administrator, cow protector, or if we are a Kshatriya administrator, Vaishya, merchant, or if we are Brahmana, it doesn't matter. The central point was of satisfying Krishna. So in that way also, we have our spiritual form, how we relate into Krishna. It doesn't matter if we are a deer or if we are a cowherd boy of playing with Krishna. The point is to satisfy and relate to Krishna in our very own way. There is no higher and lower. Yeah, I have heard devotees in a very neophyte stage saying, "Oh, I don't want to be a deer. I want to be a cowherd boy." So that is from the material point of view. We think a cowherd boy is better than a deer, and in a sense, there is differentiation through the rasas, more intimate and so on. But it's not fixed. It's not fixed. So now you are a deer, and now for all eternity you're going to be a deer. That would be very static. No, we can change these rasas as well and these tastes. But if we have that taste of being a deer and looking at Krishna even when others cannot, if we have that taste, then we are totally satisfied. Is that answering your question to some degree?
Yes.
Okay. We're running out of time. Here we stop. Ben, can you give us a little bit of Midangam Kirtan? Do you have your Midangam ready?
Prabhuji, I
Yes.
just remembered something. Can I share it?
Please.
I heard a class where it's just regarding because you mentioned deer. So when Uddhav is going to Braj, Krishna has sent him there to tell the gopis. So he's going. So the calves are feeding on they are drinking milk, their mother's milk. But now Uddhav has worn the it's called Vaijayanti Mala, the flowers made from the Vaijayanti flowers, which Krishna had given Uddhav. So Uddhav used to wear all the garments and the flowers as prasad, whatever Krishna gave it to him. So they were all prasad. So Krishna's body smell was there in those flowers. So when those calves, they were drinking their mother's milk quietly, and when Uddhav's chariot comes, they can smell Krishna's perfume. So they run towards the chariot, and the mouth is full of milk and it is just flowing out, and they all surround the chariot and stand, all those calves. So much they loved Krishna, so much. I just, since I've heard this, I keep on remembering this scene, how it must have been. So I thought I'll share it.
Beautiful. There are so many beautiful, beautiful descriptions and of the pastimes of the Lord in Goloka. We just have to read Krishna book. Just by reading Krishna book. What a beautiful Krishna book. It's all there. It's all there. At any stage we can connect with Krishna book. We don't need to go to 9 cantos of the Bhagavatam to come to the 10th canto, really. We can read Krishna book, especially given to us to have these pastimes of the 10th canto, but in a way we can digest it easily. Yes, there are beautiful, plenty of pastimes of what is happening, how life is in Goloka, and we should listen to that. We should read that. I mean, just so very casually it is mentioned when Krishna and Balaram came home from the forest and Nanda Maharaj says, you go, the prasadam is ready. Yashoda Mai has made the prasadam. I will talk to the cows today. Just even a simple statement like that. I will talk to the cows today. So normally Krishna and Balaram, before even eating the prasad, when they're coming home, they're talking with the cows. They're talking. These cows are the most fortunate. Maybe you want to be a cow in the spiritual world. This is the most fortunate. Krishna mentions Namo Go Brahmana Hitayacha. Go. The cow is more dear than the Brahmanas. The Brahmanas are very dear to Krishna, but the cow is mentioned even first before the Brahmanas. Because the cows are very, very important. So Krishna and Balaram are talking to the cows normally. And Nanda Maharaj is saying, I'll talk to the cows. It's very important to talk to the cows, making them feel comfortable and so on. That's, the cows are very, very personal associates. They are devotees of the Lord. The cows are devotees of the Lord. Here we go. Many, many beautiful pastimes. Thank you, Rashmi, for sharing that. And we remember the story where the cows have crushed all the rocks on the way to the pasture ground. So Krishna will not hurt and cut his feet. Make it to very fine sand. That fine sand can be even seen today. Sandy path. So the cows have so much love for Krishna. And Krishna has so much love for the cows. Many pastimes are there. Hare Krishna, here we stop. Little bit of Kirtan, Ben, how you feel about that?
I'll give it a go.
Please, yes.
My voice is not very strong at the moment, but I'll try.
Oh, we don't mind, strong or not strong. As long as the Transcendental Sound vibration comes out, we are more than eager to hear. The microphone is yours. for short time because we're running already after 9 o'clock, and then we finish with that. Okay, Hare Krishna.
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Śrīmati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tinamine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Vaskachare Satarine Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Śrīmati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Vaskachari Satarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hari Hari, Hari Krishna, Hari Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hari Hari, Hari Rama, Hari Rama, Rama Rama, Hari Hari, Hari Krishna, Hari Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hari Hari, Hari Rama, Hari Rama, Rama Rama, Hari Hari, Hari Krishna, Hari Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hari Hari, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nittai Gaura Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo. Nittai Gaura Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo. Nittai Gaura Hari Bo. Jaya Nittai Sachi Sundara, Nittai Sachi Sundara, Nittai Sachi Sundara, Nittai Sachi Sundara. Jaya Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, Gurudev, 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 Gurudev. Panchakalpatrubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhaivacha Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namah. Gaur Premanandi Harinam Sankirtan Lockdown Yogi Ki Jai.
Jai Hare Krishna. Thank you, Ben, for the beautiful Kirtan. That was a very wonderful end to our session tonight. Ben, if you want to stay on for a few minutes, we're sorting out the sharing. And Amit, if you need any more help, stay on as well. And yes, otherwise, I want to thank everybody. Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, yeah. I just want to check my microphone when we finish. Yeah, I want to get it working.
Yes. Okay. I will stay on until you sort it. Thank you.
I think Rashmi had a hand up, I think.
Rashmi had a hand up?
I think, I'm not sure.
Rashmi, did you have your hand up?
No, I was trying to clap.
That was a clapping, yes. That was a clapping for the Kirtan. Thank you very much. So, thank you, Ben. Thank you, Dharm, Samir. It's late on your side now. 3 hours. That is what, 9? That is almost midnight. Oh my God, you are a great yogi. Are you well? Are you tired? Did you fall asleep?
No, I didn't today, but on Wednesday, because I was working quite hard on Wednesdays.
Well done. Well done. Anyway, thank you for joining us, Samir, Rashmi, and Amit. So we'll stop the meeting here and we'll just keep Ben and Amit here on, and everybody else is welcome to go to bed. Hare Krishna.